in those silence that you have to remain rooted. And that's why it's so important to root yourself for those seasons that seem silent, for those seasons that seem dormant, because, that's all my palm trees at my house died in this cold streak, right? All turned brown. So I had my guy come out, and he says, "Oh, they're not dead." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "They just sleeping." And I said, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Well, don't cut them down. So cut back the stuff that's dead." And so he said, "But the tree itself is not dead." Wow. And so he said, if you cut back the fronds that are brown, the center is green and the roots are still strong. And even though you can't see the roots and you're fearful that it's dead, in due season, it will come to life again. And, I think for us personally, I think that's what we must realize. They were huddled in fear, right? But I think it's in those moments, they're like, "But do you remember this?" Right. Like, you remember? And so because you are rooted in the truth, even in fear, there will be fear. Even in that fear, you don't have to fail, And I think that's the problem, even with Peter, is he bent and then he broke, And it's like, but even in that fear, you don't have to fail if you remember the roots or in, but you don't have roots if you're not planted. So you have to make sure you're planted so that you can have those roots. But then it will come back to life.
What is going on, post-Sunday podcasters? I hope you guys are doing well. This is Pastor Johnny with you guys here today, episode 13 in our Psalms year-long series. Welcome back. We're so excited to have you guys with us. If you're new with us, welcome to the PSP. We have been in a year-long Psalms journey throughout the season, so we're excited to do that with you guys. We've hit a variety of different Psalms. We'll go through as many as we can. Not all of them, obviously, but we will do our best, man. And so thank you for joining us. If you're live, awesome. We go live every Monday in X and Instagram at 10:30. And we're available on demand Tuesday on for you guys on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you prefer to binge. But we are excited to have you guys with us here today for episode 13. We got a full house today. But before I continue on, I just want to remind you guys, with every episode that we have discussion guides available for you. And so on screen right now, you can check it out, scan the QR code, and that'll take you to our link tree. You'll be able to download every episode and discussion guide that we've had so far. And so let that be a blessing for you, an additional resource for yourself, your family, small group, whatever you decide to utilize it for. Also, too, this is Holy Week. This is Holy Week for us. And so we are thankful. We call it here at Genesis Church Orlando, the road to Easter. And so we are thankful for that. Let me pull that up for you guys. We got a few dates. If you guys are in East Orlando with us or happen to come visit for vacation, whatever it is, with your family, stop by genesischurchorlando.com. You can check out our website for all details. But on screen here, you'll get all dates that we have going on. We were filming this on a Monday, and so yesterday was our Palm Sunday service. So we had an incredible time discussing through that. But we'll be in Holy Week this week, and we're going to have Holy Week discussion guide, or kind of like devotional guides for you guys online. That's going to be available for you through today, March 30th, all the way to April 4th. Well, on our Instagram account, you can check us out at Genesis Church Orlando on Instagram or Facebook. And you can find every day, 6 a.m., we'll have a daily devotional available for you guys that will go through the entirety of Holy Week with you, and just a quick read and something that just really sets your day up. And so we're happy to provide that for you guys this week. But that was a handful. I am not alone, guys. As you guys know, I am always with my man, our co-host, our leader, the legend himself, Pastor Tim Grandstaff. What's going on, bro?
It's Holy Week.
Yes, it is.
Which means we are on full functioning, all cylinders, pedal to the metal.
Yes.
We got a lot happening.
Yes, we do.
But we're here for the podcast today. We're here for our listeners. We're here for those that are marching with us, taking what we learned yesterday, unpacking it a little bit more, and then diving into some Holy Week overview. Because the cool thing about this week is that it brings a different awareness.
It does.
And it should. I think that is the reality. It is not that this week is just a normal week. It is a different week. And it should be approached differently. And it should be approached with a different awareness and reality. There's a reason why we carve out this road to Easter the way that we do. Some people have been with us for almost 40 days, starting with Ash Wednesday all the way through Lent.
Awesome.
And now it's like the final turn, right? It's Palm Sunday into Holy Week, into Good Friday, into Easter, and boom, it's all here. So exciting stuff in front of us.
We are, and we're not even alone ourselves.
No.
We got our compadre here with us today, Pastor Chad Harper. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Busy week.
Yeah, it is
Excited
busy.
for what's happening.
It's busy. Got a lot going on. A lot of different elements that churches are thinking through. And so, yeah, we're excited to just do all that. But, man, I don't know. There's something sweet about finishing the race, right? And that's kind of what you're emphasizing, Pastor Tim, that beginning of Lent, and now you're seeing that finish line. And it's just like, oh, man. But, I don't know. It's for some, they just want to cross it and just survive and say they did it. But I would say for the mature, it's like, you almost like, I don't know if I want to leave the moment. It's teached me so much. It's taught me so much. And so I've been able to grasp that.
Yeah, the 40 days of prayer and all of this is, I think, just that moment where you look back. And even yesterday and this morning, I've had two different individuals approach me. I think the hard thing is that some people have been praying for 40 days about some things, and you haven't gotten an answer yet. And I would say, me too. There's some things I've been praying about for 40 days I don't have an answer from God yet for. 40 days is not done first. Let's be very clear.
Okay.
Yet for some people, he has answered. And a woman stopped me yesterday with an incredible story of her prayer request. And I would just say this, of brokenness in a marriage that was headed in the wrong direction, that only God could put together in these 40 days. And speaking to a gentleman that Chad and I know fairly well this morning on the phone, who just got a fantastic report from the doctors about a diagnosis, and celebrating that today. And so God has been healing, God has been mending, God has been answering. And for some of us, he said, not yet, but we trust him in all of it. And that's the beauty of these 40 days.
Yes, it is, man. And so, Pastor Chad, man, you brought an incredible traditional Palm Sunday message. You've been rocking and rolling Palm Sunday for a few years now, 7-8 years.
Yeah.
So, is there a 1 year, man? Like, I know this is off the cuff a little bit, but is there a year that just like really like things just opened up for you? Like you just felt like, man, I really grasped some things, some different angles, or every year you seem to grasp something a little bit different from this story?
I think the year that we talked, or I guess I talked on the weeping and just the purpose of the weep. I don't know if I had ever looked at it like that before.
Wow.
So I think that was maybe the first year that it was like, wow, that's different, you know, because you focus a lot on, the palms and, the people and all that stuff, but literally Jesus's mentality of the weep, and why and what. And, I touched a little bit yesterday as well, but now I don't think I could preach a Palm Sunday without bringing that in.
Wow.
Because it's such a huge part. So
It's a big staple
I don't know.
for you.
I'm awful with times, but I don't remember what year that was, but
I think I remember that a couple years ago.
it's probably probably 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
That was probably, I would say that was the most eye-opening, like deep dive that I did on Palm Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many angles you can exhaust this a bit, But man, with the gospel, we're not here to recreate anything, and so there's power within it, even if we got to repeat ourselves for.
We've been talking about that for weeks. The power and remembrance.
Yes,
and for most people, we just will be honest. you don't come to this story till Easter. It's not like, you're in August and you're like, hey, by the way, I'm studying the final week of Jesus's life. It typically goes hand in hand. And so I would echo what Chad said. As you learn elements, you cannot read the story without remembering those elements and those pieces. And that's how it should be. The more insight you get into the story, that's where it should take you first. And then God reveals himself even more. Years back, we taught on the two powers that be that are colliding in Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. You've got Jesus coming in from the east. You've got Pilate coming in from the west. You've got one in pomp and circumstance with chariots and horses, and you got one on a donkey. Like, I can't even hear Palm Sunday and not see that, like, it's two real people. Yet I'm thinking of like Rocky IV when you see like the Russian boxing glove and the U.S. boxing glove, and they explode in the middle before the movie begins. Like, that's the picture I have in my head as soon as I hear Palm Sunday. And as Chad said, with the weeping and things like that, as you're learning, and as we learned today, the connection to this psalm. Now, I would hope that anybody that goes to Palm Sunday would immediately be able to jump back to the psalm as well and use that in their understanding and study of what's taking place, because it gives you a full picture, and it's not now just 6 or 7 verses in the Gospel of Matthew. It becomes a much broader, bigger story to tell.
That's so good, bro. I'm currently doing a Lent journal devotional with the Passion's got one as well. And this week is a week of remembrance. Psalms 105:5. David goes, he says, remember the wonders he has done, his miracles, and the judgments he pronounced. Just remembering, man. So
I'll pause. I would say maybe a close second is when I realized it was a borrowed donkey. I think I preached on the borrowed donkey one year too. So I don't think I realized. Remember, they went into town and said, hey, I need to borrow this donkey for a minute. And then came back. And they kind of like stole the donkey. So Jesus rode on a stolen.
You opened up with that, right?
Well, I think I did. So I was just sitting here thinking like, man, I preached it so many times. But yeah,
we'll ping off of that. Johnny's boy was riding a donkey yesterday. Johnny had the pinnacle of his life yesterday.
I'm done. My work is finished here on earth. Yeah.
Don't give any context to that. Just leave it live.
Leave it alone, right?
No, we got to let people know. Your boy got to play Jesus and ride a donkey because he's in middle school. Yeah. We literally had a donkey on at our church. We had all the live animals, and they reenacted Palm Sunday. So our middle school and high schoolers were out there in costume with palm branches, and the people that own the animals brought the donkey, and your son in all of his splendor curls was riding in, and you were the gleaming dad, like, my son is being Jesus today. My life could end in this moment.
I'm finished, Lord. And into your hands I commit my spirit. Like,
until we saw him flick back those curls and locks, and I was like, wait a second. Jesus can't be trying to get girls on a donkey. Yeah. We got to pull this back right now. This is the problem with middle school.
Ooh, man,
but it was great.
That's so cool. Yeah, it was a great moment. But yeah, that's funny. You caught me off guard there. But I kind of felt like you were gonna bring that up.
Well, what's funny is, I'm sorry, we're so off base right now, but everybody's listening. When us three get in here, it's gonna be that way. My parents said, "Oh, Palm Sunday, my dad owning a landscaping business looks incredible. Who would have thought?" He's joking. All those years I taught you to do plants, you could do that. And then he said, you should tell Chad, since he's preaching today, since he was always Jesus in all the middle school skits, that he should come out dressed like Jesus and reenact one of his skits. So Chad has done it. Your boy has done it. If you're not careful, this is what he's going to end up like. This is the trajectory when you play middle school Jesus skits. You end up where Chad is in this seat.
Wow.
So
it's both blessing and a curse, I love it, man.
But that was my parents' text yesterday. Tell Chad, come out like Jesus, like he was in middle school and high school.
Those were good times.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you haven't played Jesus in your life, I don't know, man.
Tim hasn't.
You got to complete that resume.
I never got that opportunity.
You need to complete that resume. Mr. Carpenter.
They didn't give that one to me.
Mr. Graphic Designer. Mr.
Everything else.
Tim was not a bad kid, but he was not Jesus.
He was not Jesus.
No, I wasn't allowed in drama skits.
That's so funny. Well, let's get back to some context or a little bit of what you talked about, Master Chad. You opened up Psalms 118, and man, this year again brought a different angle for me. Now reading the Psalms, tying that together with the fulfillment of that and what Jesus is doing in Psalms 118. Man, like how alive is that, and how alive it makes the context of that story. And so, like, just maybe a quick summary, but like as we're diving into Psalms 118, how does that tie into the Palm Sunday story? What is Jesus doing to fulfill that? You know, give us a little run through there.
Yeah, I mean, it's I said a lot yesterday, you know, but the fact that it wasn't scripted, it was spontaneous, or it wasn't spontaneous, it was scripted. And that's the thing. You grow up, you thinking it's spontaneous. You know what I mean? Like they gathered and they saw, they must have believed, and, you know, and then realizing, oh no, it wasn't. You know, what they were saying was scripted. You know, they'd said it for so long, for so many generations. And then when you put it in that context of, you know, them knowing that and doing that, and yet still missing it, you know? So it's like that to me was just a huge thing yesterday, and where they got it wrong. And, you know, I don't want to get it wrong. And I know I get it wrong all the time. But I don't want to get it wrong when it comes to recognizing, you know, the Savior, recognizing what he's doing, you know, recognizing what he wants to do. And so that was kind of the heartbeat, I think, behind even my message yesterday was just don't miss it. Like, don't miss it. Like you can, and again, I said, you know, yesterday, I preached a while ago, I can't remember, but you can be a part of a church that worships and you not worship. You can be a part of a church that serves and you not serve. You know, like think about the disciples, like in that moment, you know, like what was going through their minds, you know, like, man, it's here, it's finally here. And maybe they got a little bit more than the other people got it, or maybe some of them got it and didn't get it. And it's just don't miss it. You can be caught up in a moment, but moments don't change you. What you do with those moments change you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the premise of where I was trying to get the people yesterday, and where I got myself really just in that preparation is, you know, moments don't change you, right? It's what you do with those moments that change you. And I mean, I think we see that, you know, as we unpack Holy Week, this, you know, today, you know, just in this moment, it's, you know, what happened after that day, you know, and it wasn't just, they missed him on that day. I mean, throughout the week they were missed, you know? And so to me, that was my, I guess the heartbeat behind what I was trying to teach yesterday was don't miss the moment, you know?
Wow.
I'm big on that. I'm big on moments. I'm big on, you know, maximizing your moment, you know, make the most out of this moment. We'll never get this moment ever again. And so to think that they were there with him at that moment and yet missed it. I mean, man, just devastating. But if we're not careful, we can do the exact same thing.
Yeah, so true.
That was the heartbeat behind it.
It's not like he didn't forewarn them either.
Yeah.
It's not like he didn't say, you know, what's to come, and scriptures didn't highlight that. So
seems like they had all the right answers.
You had every angle you could possibly be given and still missed the mark. And so these are guys, again, I mean, they grew up under these contexts, under this anticipation, under this thrill, this excitement, this belief, this training, so to say, as Jewish individuals, and yet still missed it. So how much more can we, right?
Well, the beauty of the story when you enter into it is what we got to do in our services yesterday, and what we want to do a little bit more in the podcast today. And that is, we get to read every story. We have the luxury, let's call it that, as followers of Jesus, to read the story on the backside. But when you put yourself on the forefront, on the front side of the story, you get a whole different perspective.
True.
You know, when you enter into Palm Sunday and then you realize, wait, how can you say that it was scripted? It wasn't, you know, just something spontaneously they did. It's because you can connect this to Psalm 118, and now you can see what they were doing, what they were praying, what they were singing, what they were chanting every time they came to the city during Passover, what they were expecting. So now you can't just go, well, they're stupid. How could you miss that Jesus was with you? Put yourself on the front side of the story in that moment and gain it from their perspective and what they were looking for, what they were longing for. When you do those things, the story comes to life differently. And that's what we want to do. That's part of rethinking life the way God intended. That's this podcast, is the Post Sunday podcast, is let's take the core of what we learned Sunday, but let's take it further and disciple people so that you have that front side, that forefront perspective as you read it from the back side. And when you put them two together, really what happens is we lose all excuses. It's always a choice. But at that point, if we can gain their perspective and yet we can read what took place and transpired on the backside, I either believe it and obey it and I see it, like Chad said, and I have to train myself to not miss the moment, or I might be more foolish than they are. If they were foolish enough to miss it then, and I know all of it now, and I still choose not to, who's the fool, right?
Yeah, so true, man. This particular Psalm 118 is a song from the great Hallel, which is very significant when it comes to Passover. Psalms 113 through 118 was something that was incorporated amongst this week very heavily. You'll see that throughout Jesus's final week. But it's amazing to see that. It's an important time. It's a time of thanksgiving. But, Psalms 118 begins with that context, with that refrain of like, give thanks to the Lord for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever, right? And so they're establishing their who God is, even in a situation that they're not desiring and wanting. Very close and similar to us. And so, it's a repetition that we see at the start of the psalm. And I think it's something that really speaks and is something significant for us.
Well, it's the most quoted psalm in the New Testament.
Yeah.
So it's not just Passover. So it's lots of feast. It's lots of remembrance. So it is the most quoted psalm in all of the New Testament. And so, the way that it's broken down, and Tim can probably speak into it better than me, but the way that it's broken down into sections. And yesterday I only hit one really section, 25, 26, which is the Hosanna, save us, go back to the cornerstone, the 22, and then go to the end of the 28, 29 of how they end up. But even the beginning part, when Tim and I, when we do Passover, the meal at his house, there's a part at the beginning, we didn't have time. You can speak into it. You're probably better at it than me. But his faithful love endures forever. His faithful love endures forever. All that stuff. So you want to?
We were talking even last week as you were preparing, and I was saying that the beauty of Psalm 118 at the very beginning, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good; a steadfast love endures forever." That's verse 1. And then if you notice the progression of the next 3 verses, it includes everyone. It encompasses everyone. It says, let Israel say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let the house of Aaron say, his steadfast love endures forever. And then it says, and let all those who fear the Lord declare. So you've got Israel, you've got the Levitical priesthood, and you've got all those who fear the Lord. So this psalm encompasses everybody. And as they were going into Passover that week, that's what they were reciting, as he said. That's what was scripted. This was the song, the anthem on their lips when we recited at Passover. That's how we say it. Let Israel say, and then everyone around says, his steadfast love endures forever. Let the house of Aaron say, and everyone chants it, let his steadfast love endure forever. Let all those who fear the Lord say, his steadfast love endures forever. And it's this back and forth moment, and it takes you into the reality that every year at Passover in the city, this was being done. So it only sets up for the moment that when Jesus arrives. And that's the beauty of it. You've got a psalm that's written 1,000+ years before his arrival, that's been being chanted for that many years. And now you show up in the city and you're fulfilling so many different prophetic scriptures from the Old Testament in that moment. And now they're faced with a choice. And Chad said yesterday, and I wrote it down, I thought it was great. He said, It's crazy how something can appear one way, but actually be another way. Like that's happening then. That happens in our life. Something appears one way, but it can actually be another way. And that's what's taking place as Jesus shows up. They're set, the scene is set, but they're only seeing it one way.
Wow. Yeah, that's good, man. It's like that's the soundtrack for them, you know. It's what's beginning. That's the chant that they are proclaiming. I love, again, how they start with that. And so they're not starting with what's wrong with them. They're not starting with what's the captivity. They're starting with who God is. And that's something that we have to grasp in that type of order. And so it's, you know, this psalm is very popular for also too the cornerstone piece that he speaks about. I believe is in Chad, if you remember it, 22. Yeah. Let me see.
Well, there's a couple verses that are really popular in this. You know, this is the Lord has made. I mean, that's a song, right?
That's another one too.
I mean, that's a huge one. Obviously, the Hosanna verse. You know, the Save Us verse. The cornerstone. You know, the builders will reject. I said yesterday that, and I stole this from somewhere years ago, and I just can't remember from where, as I say often. But the cornerstone is not decorative; it's structural. And I heard somebody say that you can't let Jesus decorate your life. You've got to let Jesus be the structure of your life. And, so, yeah, I mean, that's what at least three verses that are massively familiar to today's culture. You know, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I mean, that's quoted so much even today. So, yeah, lots of stuff. But, I mean, we missed the whole beginning part. So, Tim, obviously with that.
Yeah, you said yesterday, you said you're what you led with and really set us upon was it's crazy how they can have the right words, the right psalm, and be in the right place, yes, miss the right thing. Yeah. And when you get down to verses like 25 and 26, they have the right words on their lips. You know, it says, save us, we pray, O Lord. O Lord, we pray, give us success. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So they have the right words, but they have a whole different, what's the word I'm looking for? A whole different mentality of what they want from God. And that's a dangerous place for us to be in.
Yeah, it's I think yesterday, right words, right spot, right Jesus. You know what I'm saying? They're saying it to the right person. So it's like, but yet what they wanted him to do for them is not what he came to do. And I think that's where people get in trouble, is when you want Jesus to answer your prayers a certain way. You said at the beginning, Tim, 40 days we've been praying this thing. And you go in, most people go into a prayer with, they know what they want the answer to be, And so, a lot of times people will say, well, he didn't answer the prayer. And it's like, well, maybe he did. When I came here to Genesis, without going into the story, I prayed, God, if this is not what you want me to do, you need to tell me. And he didn't speak. So it's like, that was the answer, but it didn't look like I thought it was going to look. I thought it was going to be a certain way. And, for me, you got to always make sure that you don't put Jesus in the box that you want him to be in. You allow yourself to step into what he's doing. And that's where I think, that's if you're not careful, that's what happens. Come in, sing, listen, take notes, the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, but that's, it's just, you miss it all.
When people don't realize, as I said, we watch movies and TV shows, and now through AI, people can make some of the most amazing, visuals of the actual event. How many pieces were there that declared God has shown up in flesh, and everything you have been looking for is right here in front of you? And yet they still have their own thinking of what it should be. When you align the Psalms, when you align the prophecies, when you see the visuals, a palm branch was not just a symbol of peace, it was a symbol of victory. So you can go all the way back to King Saul and King David. And when they come in from the battle, after they defeated Goliath and the Philistines, the people are in the streets with palm branches. And it's not, there's peace because we defeated the Philistines. It's actually victory. We've had victory in battle. And so a palm branch was a very war, battle, symbolic cry. The word Hosanna, or we would say Hosanna, didn't mean save us like we know to cry out to God now, save me from my sin. It was save us with your might and your power as a military leader. We want you on the throne. We want Rome to be gone. We've been under their thumb of oppression. And so we need you to come in with military strength and defeat Rome in a war and in a battle and a victory. And yet here Jesus comes in on a donkey. He's not on a horse. He doesn't have a chariot and army in front of him. He doesn't have a battalion. He doesn't have soldiers marching with shields and swords and spears. That's happening on the other side of the city at the same time when Pontius Pilate is coming in. It's a different processional, and it's prophetic, and everything they know in the scriptures is being revealed. And even yesterday, like I walked you up to the donkey and I was like, did you ever know this?
It's a great statement.
Right? And I walked you up to the donkey.
Sorry.
And I pointed out to you, I said, check this out. From his mane all the way to his tail, and from shoulder blade to shoulder blade, there's a dark line that literally forms a cross on top of the donkey. Not all of them have it, but the ones that do and the ones that Jesus rode on would have. And you're like, I've never seen that. First of all, because you've never been out in the country with me, but I'll take you sometime. But I've
spent a lot of time around donkeys.
I got him drinking out of Cracker Barrel cups right now, so we're almost there.
You're breaking me in.
We're breaking you in. But you didn't know that. Even your son sitting on top of it didn't see it. And it's like, here's just the symbol of a cross down the back of a donkey that Jesus is riding on. Like, there's so many visuals there. You're waving a palm branch, and you really are waving it this way for victory, but he's wanting you to wave it this way for peace, right? For what he's bringing in. You're chanting Hosanna because you need him to save you from Rome, and he's wanting you to chant Hosanna so that he can save you from your sin. Like, the perspective is so warped, but we do it ourselves today. And as Chad said, it's not just the wrong words. It's the wrong mission. It's the wrong purpose. It's the wrong meaning. We project ourselves onto Jesus for what he will bring to us instead of bringing ourselves to Jesus and letting him do what he needs to do in us and through us.
Yeah, so good, bro. There's a question that I wanted to ask, but it's when you pray that Hosanna, Lord, save you, save us, are you mostly asking God to endorse your plan, or are you inviting the true King to reorder your story around his cross and his resurrection? And so think about that here today. If you're listening with us, that cry of your heart, right? You are essentially saying, Hosanna, Lord, save me, be the king of my life, but under my own terms, or be the king of my life under your direction. And so, man, that was fantastic. Just tie-in with all of it. I thought it was great. The psalm begins and ends with that invitation for all the groups to acknowledge God's steadfast love, and I love that. It's the establishment from the beginning. It's the establishment from the end, and that's kind of a symbolism, of what we've been talking about through the Psalms of Lament this season. It's like, Lord, I begin with who you are. I lay down all my burdens before you, but I finish with who you are. Like, there's, if you can center your prayer like that, establishing truth, finishing with truth, right? That has power within itself. These Psalms are doing that for us.
Chad, one of the things you hit on yesterday was you parked on the fact that this was the day, right? The Psalm says, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And then Jesus in Luke 19, when he weeps over them, you pointed out scripture that Jesus wept saying, would that you had known on this day the things that make for peace. So here they're crying out for this day to arrive. And Jesus is like weeping, going, had you not known on this day, and they can't make the connection. And I thought that was strong yesterday.
Yeah, the connection there is, even you. Like when you're reading that, it's like, a lot of times you read it like them, but like literally when it says even you. And that's what hit me this past week was even I, Chad, You know what I mean? Like, you don't truly know what will bring you peace. You think you know, but today's the day. Today is the day. So, and they treated it like it was just a moment, because, you know, for us looking at them, it was the Passover, but for them, it was yearly. Like, it wasn't, you know, it was special, but it wasn't like, it was like Christmas. It comes every year, you know, I mean, it's something they've done, and it's like, no. Like, it's the day, you know, it's the day. It's not just a Passover. It is the Passover. And that just hit me when I was reading it. But the correlation there is just amazing from Luke.
Yeah, big time. And so, you know, we are obviously in Holy Week, and we want to talk a little bit about that throughout this week. Don't want to miss that opportunity to really talk through some of the events and some of the things that really tie all of this together. Psalm 118 really helps us begin that and establish that. And so, Tim, kind of like lead us a little bit into that.
Chad gave us, I think, a great template.
Yes, he did.
For us to use this pod, not just for the triumphal entry, but throughout Holy Week. And as he just said, woe to us if we sit here and go, look at them. and we don't each morning wake up and go, yeah, but God, what about me?
So true.
Woe to them that they couldn't realize what you were doing. But woe to me if I don't allow you to do what you need to do as well. So when you look at Holy Week, it's like the same thing now is the overarching thread almost throughout every day. It's not a one-time occurrence. Oh, the people at Palm Sunday didn't get it, right? The people waving the palm branches, they totally missed who Jesus was. They were shouting, you know, military words instead of really worshiping him with their heart. Immediately, as you start to read, like the next day, he's confronted by the Pharisees. And like I was thinking this morning as I was beginning Holy Week, and, you know, we have a devotion about Jesus cursing the fig tree because it looked like it should be producing fruit, but it wasn't. And later he'll tell his disciples that's what he sees. He sees things that look like they want to produce fruit, but really they can't. And we have to ask ourselves that same question, like, how does Jesus see me? Do I make myself look like I can produce fruits of the Spirit, but I really don't in the things that I do? But at the same time, here's the religious leaders, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes. They have the Holy Scriptures. They know them better than anybody else in the city during Passover week. They're the people who lord them over everyone else. If anybody knows prophecy, if anybody knows this Psalm 118, if anybody knows what the Messiah is supposed to at least look like when he rises, it's supposed to be these people. And yet the very next day, they're looking for ways to trap him, it tells us. Yeah. Because they detest him.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about, I think I even said it yesterday, you can repeat the truth all day long and still not be changed by it. And you have
you did say
the
that.
Pharisees that are just like, of anybody that knows the truth, they know it, right? But yet they still resisted him, you know? And it's like, what an example of, wow. Like, so it's not just knowing the truth, you know what I mean? It's allowing the truth to change you. You know, it's allowing the truth to be inside of you and resonate through you. It's not just the head knowledge, it's the heart knowledge and accepting it. And, you know, woe to us that, you know, cast the look at them and say, you know, how could they? And it's like, but how can we? We do it all the time, you know? So it's making sure that the things we know about God and Jesus get inside of us and change us, because that's the fig tree. I mean, that's the whole thing, right?
When you take it and you go like, here's what we learn, right? We're all religious leaders, the three of us. We're pastors. So in people's eyes, we're religious leaders. And in some people's eyes, we're modern day Pharisees. Let's be honest. We know this, that the hardest thing to do is to build trust in people that have had trust taken from them by religious leaders. And yet it's twofold. I will look at them and go, God, please this week, give me eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to be moved so that I don't become a Pharisee. However, a lot of other people will sit around and go, that's what's wrong with all religious leaders. They're all hypocrites and they're all Pharisees. But woe to you if you don't allow God to do the same thing in your life. Because you can point a finger and cast a blame, but not take spiritual responsibility. And it's a wake-up call on Holy Week that we can all do the very same things that happened on Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday, the people waving branches were not the religious leaders. So it's the average people in the streets. It's the religious leaders in the synagogues. It's the people leading the prayers, in morning, at noon, and in evening. As you said, this is the danger. These are the spiritual people. It's all in their tongues. It's in their head. But all of a sudden, it's not open in their heart. And that is something we've all got to be aware of in ourselves, that in our human nature, it is so easy to claim God with our tongue and in our head, but not be transformed in our heart. And we can become the Monday Pharisees on Holy Week if we're not careful.
Wow. That's so true, bro. There's a book called Accidental Pharisee.
Yes.
Super good, man.
Don't read it unless you want to be punched in the face.
Yeah. I think I got to reread that one here soon.
I can punch you in the face and save you the time.
I give you the book. Chad will punch
The
you.
reading.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, and so he's going through testing.
Yep.
Obviously, in those customs and traditions, days before Passover, lambs are being inspected. They're being looked at for anything that would not allow them or be unclean. And so it's kind of very symbolic of Jesus going through testing throughout the week of, questions of taxes, governmental questions, things to trap him.
Yep.
So it's very symbolic of that.
He turns over the tables.
Yes.
He runs out
Yep.
the people that are not just buying but also selling, because they're missing it. And I think, like, when you see that full picture, you realize everybody's included in what he's trying to do, right? And that's the perspective that we want to take.
So true.
We went and saw that movie, the Chosen movie, remember?
Yep.
I don't watch
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's
Indiana
it.
Jones,
So
Jesus.
that's what I told my son this morning. So I said, remember Indiana Jones, Jesus, from that movie? And so I love Indiana Jones, Jesus.
Yeah.
So
They
the other day
put some
was
skin on
Donkey
him.
Ride. They put Indiana
did.
Jones, Jesus. It was great. If you haven't, it's just, is that what's the movie called?
Chosen.
Just The Chosen?
Yeah, it's a series.
So, but it was the movie.
Well, we went and saw the episode.
Oh, so
They had
whatever
it in
it
the
was,
theater.
I don't know much details, but if you haven't seen Indiana Jones, Jesus, you ain't seen nothing yet.
So, when you take this, you go, it's the crowd on Palm Sunday. It's the Pharisees and the people in the temple courts on Monday. And then, like, you can just funnel this straight down to, like, the crazy part, right? The one that you're just like, how? Judas.
Jeez.
Here we find out during this week is when he will betray him for 30 pieces of silver. And now you have to go, okay, hold on. I could maybe figure out why the people in the streets got it wrong. I will wrestle with and struggle with how the religious leaders could get it wrong. But how does the guy that for 3 years walked and talked with Jesus, observed him, listened to him, got a front row seat with him, how does he get it wrong? How does he have a different idea of what Jesus should be, to the point that he would betray him in that moment? Like the template from Sunday literally takes us through Holy Week in that way.
Just
Well,
think about it.
Yeah, I would say proximity doesn't equal surrender.
Yeah, bro.
That's good.
So just because
So
you're
true.
in the right place doesn't mean surrender. And he walked by him, but he wasn't surrendered to him. And I think that, for me, when I look at Judas, that's what I see, is that proximity does not equal surrender. Surrender is its own thing. And surrender is a daily thing, because, when he did what he did, how long was he planning that? Was it a weak moment? Was it a weak day? You know what I'm saying? Was it just, what caused that? And it just, for me, it's, you have to surrender daily. Did he know on Palm Sunday what he was going to do? Or was it, I don't know. I mean, somebody smarter than me probably does, but But it's like, it just reminded me when I think of Judas, you have to commit every day. You have to get up, put your feet on the floor and say, today is the day the Lord has made.
I think Judas is the best example of all of us.
Yeah.
And that's hard for us to swallow. Yeah. But for most of us, if we're going to be honest, a lot of what's happening during Holy Week, as you just said, is political. The way Jesus enters into the city while Pontius Pilate is doing it on the other side is a political statement. They confront him with political questions. The chants of Hosanna and the palm branches were political for battle. There's a lot of politics involved in this, in their understanding. And for Judas, the same thing. He's looking for a leader to rescue them. He's not understanding a savior for the world. And as you said, you need to go watch The Chosen. No, I'm just kidding. They don't answer everything, but I think they give a great perspective, because there's not a lot there, of someone who's wrestling with this idea that I think Jesus is this Messiah, this rescuer who's going to release us from Rome. And then he starts to listen to his teachings, watch him closely, and realizes he's something different. He's not seeing what he's supposed to see, but he's realizing he's not going to be the one to save us. And we sit in America on both sides of the political party, and we play the same game. We will quickly say, my allegiance is not to a donkey or an elephant, but a lamb. But we hope the political leader we vote in rescues us financially, rescues us peacefully, rescues me from the gas station, rescues me from whatever it is. And we don't realize it, but we start to put a lot more faith in the political leader sitting in the right chair than we do trust in God Almighty. And Judas walks that path. Judas is looking for the right guy to sit in the right chair here on earth instead of God Almighty and his plan. And now he realizes, I don't know if Jesus is going to accomplish what I need to be done for the better sake of Israel. So let me hand him over to the religious leaders and let them do with him as he pleases, because he's not fulfilling what I think he should be doing. That's the bottom line of what's happening in that betrayal, is Judas wants him to be something he has said, I'm not. And Judas doesn't know how to take that.
Wow. That's yeah. And so maybe he's trying to entice him, we don't know. Maybe by creating this scenario, it's like, maybe I can get Jesus routed up. Maybe I can just get this thing going and accelerating to see what happens. And it seems like the plan backfires,
Yep.
because we get to see the back end of Judas's story, a life of guilt, right? Allowing that guilt to take him to suicide. And so, yeah, man, that is a powerful. We're more closer to Judas than we realize.
Yeah, and the beauty of Holy Week is there are shimmers of shining light. It's not everybody got it wrong. A lot of people did. He ends up on the cross. When Jesus weeps over Jerusalem, he's also weeping, and he speaks of the destruction that's going to come. And we know historically now, backside, 70 AD, Rome demolishes the city of Israel, and with it, the temple. And so the way in which they knew how to worship before God was taken from them. That's part of what he's speaking of in that moment. It is real, in real time, real people, real places, real time. And it does have some prophetic understanding to it. But it's not just one and not the other, it's both. You read Holy Week and you see two instances where people get it right. You see many where Peter denies Jesus, gets it wrong. The disciples flee and they run in the garden, get it wrong, because now he's being arrested. He's definitely not who we thought he was, right? Like, I'm on the run now because it's not playing out how I thought it should be. I think the beauty and the difference is this, and it's 3 men on a panel today speaking about this, yet it's 2 women in Holy Week that we see get it right. It's during Holy Week, you read about the widow's mite. the woman who gave all that she had. They're sitting in the temple. They're listening to the money being dropped in. You can hear it like a coin machine at the front of Walmart or Publix, right? Just money dropping in. And then Jesus just hears just the clank of 2 little coins. And he teaches a whole lesson to his disciples right there. All these other people, whatever reasons, but she's giving out of everything she has to me. And then it's the woman who breaks the jar of perfume. And Marcus Borg said in his book, The Last Week, she's the first one to get it right. The reason why the disciples don't understand, the reason why Judas gets mad at the price of the perfume and how expensive it is that she's just broken, all these types of things that take place, she's the one who comes and anoints him. She understands he's the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And she's the one that is willing to take the very best of what she has and give it to him, knowing that this is something you not only did to anoint kings when they arrived, but it's also something you did when someone died, and you see on the backside of burial that you would use these expensive perfumes in this jar of perfume for these types of things. And she gets it right. And so in the midst of all those who have the right words and the right psalm in the right place and the right Jesus on the right donkey, and all these things, and they get it wrong, she is the one that gets it right. And when you read that, man, it is convicting to go. Marcus Borg calls her the first true disciple because she's the first one to truly declare. Peter almost gets it right. Remember, Jesus asked Peter, like, who do you say that I am? And he says, you're the Son of the living God. And he says, far be it from you. You didn't get this, but from my Father in heaven gave it to you. Like, you kind of got it, but it was given to you. She just steps to the plate and she gets it here on Holy Week. And it should change how you read those stories.
Wow. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I mean, that leads us into Last Supper. That leads us into Garden of Gethsemane.
Last Supper, Jesus would have quoted Psalm 118, right?
Yes.
So,
yep.
You want to know what they were talking about, what they were quoting?
Yep.
That supper, Psalm 118 was on their lips.
Yeah.
Which is
it's crazy.
The last stuff to come out of Jesus' mouth.
Exactly.
Psalm 118.
They sung.
Psalm, 16 will be declared. Right. Psalm 22 on the cross. So, like, this is why we're in Psalms. And people are like, well, what are you going to do at Easter time when you get to with Psalm? I'm sorry.
Somebody told me yesterday. I was like, how are you tying it together? And I was like, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the easiest one.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah, that's what they're like.
As you said, people don't realize the words on the cross, that the things being spoken, how much of the Psalms were being quoted. Because as David was writing them, they were real for him in the moment, but they were going to be prophetic. He had no clue that a son in his lineage would be quoting these from the cross, would be quoting these the night before he was betrayed. And that's the beauty of the Psalms. And this is why we say the Psalms are the songs of the scriptures. And if we can learn them and meditate upon them and take them to heart and then use them at the front side of the story, my goodness, now we don't just sit with our kids and we read just this much of the last week. It's like, hey, we sit with our spouse or our kids or ourselves and we read the event happening. And I think Mark is a great book to use, Gospel of Mark, because he does a day-by-day account starting in Mark chapter 10, really lets you know which day you're in. And the other Gospels can too if you really know what you're looking for, but Mark does the clearest. But then you can go, oh my gosh, let me cross-reference that back to Psalm 22. Let me cross-reference that back to Psalm 118. Let me see how they were using the Psalm, and if they were doing it, how much more should I? Yeah, and one person today that's live with us asked the question. They said, what's a non-negotiable boundary you guys have to help you do what you do and not just talk? What does full surrender look like for you guys when life is testing you the hardest? Wow. What you got?
So non-negotiable boundary is who I surround myself with. So, and being open and honest, I think that's a boundary. I think honesty, knowing that every day I come and see, the two of you, you know what I mean? And allowing you guys to speak into my life and, knowing that when, life is at its hardest and it's treating me and testing me the hardest, I'm held accountable by by pastors, obviously, but by friends, by brothers that say, hey, this is, you can't do this, or this is what you should do in doing that. So for me, non-negotiable is my small circle of friends, I would say.
That's strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would link that as well. That's a non-negotiable for me. Is she saying like non-negotiable? Like, read me the question again.
What's the non-negotiable boundary that you have that helps you do this and not just talk about it?
Oh,
And when you're being tested.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's the fundamentals. I mean, and everything and anything comes from prayer and reading God's scripture, and honestly, the practice for me in the last year or two of stillness before God, of reflection, of quietness, has really been helped me just gravitate towards identifying those non-negotiables in my life. And so having you guys there, accountability, that is huge for me too. So
I would echo those, and then I would just say the non-negotiable is the discipline. The non-negotiable is sometimes, and people will take this wrong, I have to do this. I don't want to. I don't feel like it. Man, I'm busy. I'm tired. I'm sore. I'm cranky. A lot of things just went wrong, upset at my children. My wife and I get in an argument. I don't want to right now. I don't feel like I can. I have to. Because as we have been saying, it realigns and recenters. And the more you have to do it, and people will twist that in so many different ways, the more it just becomes natural. So that when you don't, you feel it. You lack it. Now I want to, because it's such a part of me. It's a little bit harder depending, I think, on your wiring and your makeup. And so as you guys have, just attested to, who you surround yourself with matters to push you and to spur you forward when you maybe aren't wired to take that step as much. Maybe a little bit easier for me to say that, being a very A-driven personality. But at the same time, we've spoken about that for the last 4 years on this podcast. It's the daily deposits, even when I don't know why or I'm not feeling it, that eventually God brings it back, and it allows me to overcome a moment or to work through the testing. And so that discipline, right, of daily coming, opening God's word. My daily coming also includes the journal piece, so that I can look back and I can remember, so that I can be on the phone with a gentleman this morning going, hey, when Chad shared that prayer request of yours, it went in my prayer journal. It's going to be so awesome today to go back and in red, write answered beside it. And I don't get to do that all the time as much as people think, but I get to. And so when God is testing me and I'm wondering where God is, what he's up to, I'm seeing him answer someone else's prayer. And now I can come right back and go, same God that answered his prayer is the same God that can answer my prayer. And so that's my non-negotiable. I have to do this, not because I'm Pastor Tim. I have to do this because I am a follower of Jesus. And I have to come back to this. If I'm going to quote Psalm 118, his faithful love endures forever, then I have to be a person that my faithfulness also endures. And endures is not a love-feeling word. It's actually a word that involves a lot of tension that's being pulled. That I'm enduring even when it's not fun, even when it feels like it's bringing the fun away from me, even when it feels like everyone else is getting to enjoy life a little bit more than I would. But I'm enduring because I know that if I endure, this is going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
And I'm going to rest in that.
That's good, bro. Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic, man. Something I as I was looking through, because we were going to take on Psalms 118, but kind of just went over my head. We were going to dial into Holy Week too. So I did when college kids just do a quick crash overnight on something, on a study.
Cramming.
Yeah. So I'm just digesting so much. But I'm thankful for it because it actually is the setup for this entire week. So I'm really thankful for that. But day 7, man, I never the silent Saturday, right? Like I never sat with this understanding that like even we think that just nothing's happening. Jesus is still fulfilling prophecy. He's still fulfilling the mission, and being that he's resting, right? In Jewish culture, Saturday would be the day of rest, and so they're getting him out of that cross. They're getting him into the tomb for Saturday to be complete and to finish, right, and to rest. And out of that rest, out of that redemptive work of Christ, then Jesus comes the next day, right? Like I sat with that this morning as I'm lifting weights, and I'm just like having a moment there. I'm like, oh man, it's so good because, man, I took a little bit of a course on Sabbath, and it is really helped open up my eyes a little bit on that. There's some fundamentals that we undervalue that have been given to us by God. Sabbath is one of those for me that I've just kind of slept on, and it's like, man, I don't get it, or it is what it is on the surface level. But man, as I've learned that, and in tying it into how Jesus is finishing / beginning this entire story of salvation, like it is just like the cherry on top, man, that I've needed to understand fully what he's accomplishing.
I would say this for everyone that's with us for Holy Week. Saturday's a really, really cool day to let your mind wander as a disciple. I heard a pastor one time just give me this picture, and this is what Saturday becomes to me. Jesus 3 times on the way to Jerusalem tells them the Son of Man must be crucified, buried, and will rise from the dead. So he tells them 3 times on the way to Jerusalem. They should know what's going to happen. But in that silent Saturday, they have all run and they are in hiding. They're in fear. And for anybody right now that's in that type of circumstance, you're afraid. You don't know the outcome. You're just kind of huddled up going, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you're up to, God. I don't know if what your words are true. I don't know if what you said is actually going to happen or be accomplished. Then you get the good old Sunday's coming moment, right?
Yeah.
Like they're huddled up. They're afraid. They're hiding so that no one can find them. Their Jesus has been crucified, and it's Saturday, and the tension of all day in silence and fear, only to realize that what Jesus already told them is going to take place. And if we can take Saturday with that approach, anything you've been bringing for 40 days in fear, you feel like it's in silence, Sunday morning's about to take place.
I think
Sunday's
too, it's
coming.
in those silence that you have to remain rooted. And that's why it's so important to root yourself for those seasons that seem silent, for those seasons that seem dormant, because, that's all my palm trees at my house died in this cold streak, right? All turned brown. So I had my guy come out, and he says, oh, they're not dead. I said, what do you mean? He goes, they just sleeping. And I said, what does that mean? He goes, well, don't cut them down. So cut back the stuff that's dead. And so he said, but the tree itself is not dead. Wow. And so he said, if you cut back the fronds that are brown, the center is green and the roots are still strong. And even though you can't see the roots and you're fearful that it's dead, in due season, it will come to life again. Wow. And, I think for us personally, I think that's what we must realize. They were huddled in fear, right? But I think it's in those moments they're like, but do you remember what he said?
Right.
Like, you remember? Mm-hmm. And so because you are rooted in the truth, even in fear, there will be fear. Even in that fear, you don't have to fail, And I think that's the problem, even with Peter, is he bent and then he broke, And it's like, but even in that fear, you don't have to fail if you remember the roots and you pour in, but you don't have roots if you're not planted. So you have to make sure you're planted so that you can have those roots. But then it will come back to life.
Yeah, that's super strong. That's super strong. That's the cornerstone piece, to take away. And I would just add this thought, because a week from now it'll be an Easter podcast. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the women today. Yeah. It's the widow's mite. Yep. It's the woman with the jar of perfume. Yep. Then, as he said, what if on Saturday? We don't know, so we'll play the what if. Someone in the room's like, yeah, but remember he told us 3 times he would be crucified, and on the 3rd day he would rise? And who goes running that morning first? Is that just in her head? Is that in Mary's head? He told us. He said 3 days, I'm going to go see. I'm going to go check. We just assume she's going to take care of the body. But could it be that on Saturday, that discussion was taking place and she's the first one to take off running? That's a powerful thought to have.
That is, bro. That is so good.
He uses women when he wanted something done, Yep. Crazy.
Man, what a great episode. There's so much, man. We could be here for hours. But it's just, there's so much to unpack with Holy Week. But I encourage you guys, again, we will have Holy Week devotionals available for you guys all week throughout our Genesis Church Orlando Instagram page and Facebook pages. All week, every day, every morning, 6 a.m. Check it out. It'll be up all day. And let it be just a quick boost for you, man. And let it lead you into some deeper studies if needed. But reminding you too, we have our daily we'll have our discussion guides available for you guys after this episode as well, and that can help as well keep you guys just going through Scripture and going through this Holy Week. So again, invitation is open for you guys to come join us and be a part. We got a Good Friday service, 2 services there. We got our Easter services, 4 services on Easter. We're located in East Orlando. You can find all of our information at genesischurchorlando.com. If you're interested in joining or don't have a place to gather, we would love for you to come and be a part of what we're doing. But man, what a blessing, guys. Incredible, incredible episode. Looking forward to that and the highly anticipated big day of Easter, our Savior, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Easter's coming.
Let's go. Easter's coming.
You got to cheer, Johnny. Come on. There you go. Thank you.
Let's go. Let's go. Easter's coming, my friends.
I want you to do it on Sunday.
Just like that.
Oh, just like that.
That was a little bit more of a howl, though.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Give me a howl.
You just got to make noise.
Wolfpack. You remember Wolfpack?
Yeah. We can do that.
Yeah.
Come on now. We got a story for you.
Razor Ramon?
No, this guy was
Razor Ramon.
Different pod.
We may or may not have dressed up like the Wolfpack for Halloween party one year.
Post Easter, guys.
So,
we're going to have a Wolfpack edition.
We're not closet wrestling fans. We are out there. We like wrestling. We're okay with it. It's our male soap opera, and we're good with it.
Wow, bro! I'm telling you, our followers have spiked.
Let's go,
guys! Yeah, shout out, homie! Shout out! All right, man. We love you guys. Until next week, we will see you guys back here. Grace and peace.